No Michigan postseason play, but plenty to talk about concerning the Maize and Blue. We got Justin Rowe on the line from Stadium in Maine podcast. Hey, Justin, how you doing?
Doing well here. How are you, Mark?
Doing just fine. Hopefully your holidays are going well. And there's much to talk about here.
Yeah, it's you're right about that. I mean, there's always stuff to talk about with Michigan, right? Whether it's rumors or criticisms or everything else. Usually, I mean, I joke around that the off season sometimes is a lot more exciting than the actual season for Michigan, because you got the hype, you got new quarterback, 5-star quarterback coming in, new coaches all the time. It all has a formula for the hype train to come around for next fall.
Well, let's start with what we do know. Because the rest of it just involves a lot of speculation and some things that have to happen one way or the other. There are decisions that have to be made, but in regards to what will happen, we shall see. But we do know that Aidan Hutchinson has announced his return along the defensive front, and it's obviously been a position at Michigan under Harbaugh that's been extremely strong. Your thoughts about Aidan Hutchinson, who was obviously banged up and only played a couple games here in 2020, coming off a big 2019 campaign?
Yeah, I mean, this was an absolutely huge breaking news for Michigan. It was a spot for Michigan that they believe that they will lose Kwity Paye to the NFL, who is going to – he played himself into probably a first, maybe early second-round pick at the other defensive end spot. And so if Michigan was going to lose both those guys, it would have been a big hit to a defense that was already depleted and didn't play well in just about every game of 2020. So this was a big deal for Michigan. And, you know, I say it's a big deal on the field as in talent, but it's also a huge deal in terms of leadership. The Michigan football team, especially on the defensive side, seemed to lack leadership all year. And Aidan Hutchinson is a junior. He was a junior captain. So I assume that he'll be a captain again. And so in terms of somebody who's going to have accountability for each players, especially with a new defensive coordinator, it really helps for them to have some continuity here with Aidan Hutchinson back on the field and back in that locker room in 2021. So I think it'll be interesting to see, you know, whether it's Will Muschamp or somebody else coming in 2021 as the defensive coordinator. But I think that Aidan Hutchinson will have that leadership role, and he'll come in and say, all right, you know what? I don't really care who the defensive coordinator is. This is my squad. This is my team here, and we are not going to let the same thing happen to us in 2020 that is going to happen in 2021.
Again, if we go back to 2019, we see what Aidan Hutchinson is capable of: 69 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks along that Michigan defensive front. So you mentioned Kwity Paye, most likely gone to the NFL. So how does the D-line stack up for 2021? Does this look to be a strength again?
We'll see. I think it could be a strength on the outsides, as it has been for pretty much every year under Jim Harbaugh, whether you go back to Josh Uche and Chase Winovich and Rashawn Gary. There have been a lot of guys on the outside on the defensive ends that have played really well, and that has been a strength of this defense. And it would have been if in 2020 as well, if both Aidan Hutchinson and Kwity Paye were healthy all year, but both were pretty banged up, actually. You know, obviously Aidan was out for the entire year after his ankle injury. But I think this could be a strength. I wonder if Hutchinson will be the anchor end, or if he'll actually be put to the other side and be kind of let loose a little bit. He made some unbelievable plays, being able to set the edge and then still shed the guy and make the play this year. And we saw that even early in 2020, as well as early in his career in 2019. But when you have guys that are coming up behind him, Luigi Villain is a guy that is going to, he actually, in my opinion, probably should have been breaking out earlier than we've seen him. He had high hopes, but definitely some injuries. He'll be a fifth-year senior though, so it's it's now or never for Luigi Villain on the other defensive end. But you've got also Taylor Upshaw, who's a senior, David Ajabo, who's a junior, and then Braden McGregor is coming up as well. So we'll see how that all pans out. You've also got guys on the inside. So Carlo Kemp was a senior this year. He now, has another year of eligibility. We'll see if he takes it. He may say, all right, I'm pretty good, even if I don't have a shot at the NFL. That was a great career that I had. Let me move on to the next phase of my life. He could stay. We've yet to hear a decision from him. But you've got talent-wise, you've got unbelievable talent all across this defensive line. It's just really developing them. We've seen Mozzie Smith, Donovan Jeter, and Chris Hinton at the nose tackle and defensive tackle positions. We've seen them a little bit, and they should have been panning out to be better than they've shown so far. So maybe they take this next step. Maybe with Sean Nua staying as the defensive line coach, or maybe Will Muschamp or whoever is the new defensive coordinator brings somebody else in and is able to develop those guys. But you've got some big boys that are in the middle, and that really has been the biggest issue for Michigan this past year, was that running up the gut. How many times did Wisconsin and even Minnesota and everybody really just ran right up the middle against Michigan, and they weren't able to stop it on the defensive line and then at the linebacker position as well. But if you look at it, there's also a chance that Rayshawn Benny, who is a Michigan State commit right now, he did not sign in the early signing day. So there's a chance that he flips. Some Michigan players and coaches were actually actively recruiting him on Twitter. I think actually just players, because I think that's a violation for if he's committed somewhere else for a coach to do it on Twitter. But definitely some players were tweeting at him. There's rumors that he may flip, which even as a freshman, I believe he would have an impact on this defensive line. So could it be a strength for Michigan? Absolutely. They have the talent. They have the players. Will they have the coaching and the development from this new coaching staff to get them into position to actually make an impact on the field?
You're basically giving us, Justin, a microcosm of what the offseason is going to be for every college football team across America. After the uncertainty of what 2020 was during the season, the offseason, when you combine the extra year of eligibility for seniors and not knowing which ones are coming back, which ones are going to stay, and then the transfer portal blowing up like it never has before, just the personnel uncertainty of what these teams are going to look like across America is going to be fascinating, because there's going to be news every day of the offseason concerning somebody somewhere.
Well, I mean, have you seen the numbers that are in the transfer portal already? Oh my goodness. They're in the 300s and
Yes.
400s. Like, it's unbelievable. And we knew that was going to happen because of the new rule. And then to add the extra eligibility in there, and it quantifies that really quickly. But I think that is a major positive for Michigan. They can go into the transfer portal and get some people for this defensive line, especially at the tackle position, nose tackle and defensive tackle position, that is so desperately needed, because we talked about it last week. They still have yet to sign a defensive tackle in the last 3 recruiting classes. So which is, again, I can't emphasize enough how unheard of and how ridiculous that is. So if they are actively recruiting some defensive tackles right now in the transfer portal, I don't know what they're doing. So they have to hit that portal and say, all right, there are some guys that I've even seen that were once either committed to Michigan or transferred from Michigan, or were hot on the trail for the Wolverines, that now are in that portal, and you can say, all right, you liked us at one point, do you still like us enough to come here and give us a second shot? And so there's going to be opportunities for some guys from that portal to step in at a lot of different positions and play right away in 2020. I see it happening on the defensive line. I could see it happening at the linebacker position and the cornerback position as well. And then on the offense, I could see it on the offensive line too. So we'll see how that all pans out. But you're very right. It's going to be interesting for this whole offseason.
When the transfer portal was first being used and publicized a couple of years ago, it used to be obvious to see, okay, you can see quarterback battle, quarterback rooms full, guys going over here for an opportunity. It used to be easy to identify. Now I'm seeing guys in the transfer portal that I'm saying, you play in that position for a pretty good program. You seem to be the number one guy at a particular position. On the surface, I don't know why you're leaving. Guys just seem to be just maybe testing the waters. I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, it's going to be a season and off season of flux. No question about that. Justin Rowe on the line covering Michigan football at Justin Rowe 92 is where you follow on Twitter. Stadium and Main podcast is where you can catch him as well. You dropped the name Will Muschamp like you know something, Justin. Now, this is a guy that certainly has gained his critics as a head coach, but when it comes to being a defensive coordinator, few in the nation have a better resume.
You're very right. And so I think this would be an absolute home run hire for Michigan if they could get Will Muschamp to come, even for 1 or 2 years, even if he's trying to find a home to, regain his name a little bit and get his feet under him and then try and land another head coaching position. That's all Jim Harbaugh needs right now. He can't afford to have somebody young or new come in and try and take 2, 3, 4 years to build up a new defense and build up a culture and program and things like that on the defensive side of the ball. He needs somebody that has a proven track record, has already done it at the SEC level. That's pretty that's pretty good in terms of the defensive side. And so he needs somebody who can come in and do that right away. Will Muschamp is everything you could ask for there. I actually have some sources at South Carolina in their strength department and some other things. They say he is a fantastic guy, which, of course, at Michigan, you can't, the Michigan man mantra, right, is you got to be upstanding and classy and clean slate and all these things. He actually has that, which is almost unheard of at this point, in terms of college football. So he's got that part and would fit the mold for the Michigan man, even though obviously he's never been around Ann Arbor before. But he can come in. He knows how to run the defense. He could work out with Jim Harbaugh, and they could figure something out. I worry a little bit with Muschamp's former tenure as a head coach. Does Harbaugh give him the reins? Does Harbaugh say, all right, I've given Don Brown the reins for the past 5 years. Look where that got me. Harbaugh's ego sometimes does get in the way. And so when another former head coach comes in, you kind of wonder how that all pans out. But I still think that Muschamp should be the guy if he's still interested in this job.
Talking Michigan football, we got Justin Rowe on the line from Stadium and Main podcast, and you see his Twitter handle right there, Justin Rowe 92. So the rest of it, Justin, could be a whole lot to talk about because we know positions have to be filled, but a lot of it's just, at this point, just a lot of waiting and speculation involving whether that's Jim Harbaugh's extension. Obviously, there has to be a new defensive coordinator hired. There have been rumors concerning Josh Gaddis' status. We're in the waiting game and the speculation game right now.
Yep, and we've been there for a while, and I don't think anything's changing anytime soon. So, at first Sam Webb said that it was going to happen. The Harbaugh decision was going to happen before Christmas. Obviously, we're past that now. Chris Ballas came out today and said that a deal is done, but still absolutely nothing from Michigan in their athletic department as far as news, even regarding Don Brown. Bruce Feldman came out and said it, and a lot of people confirmed it that Don Brown was out last week, but still no announcement from Michigan saying that he is out as defensive coordinator. Even though he's still rumored to have the job as defensive coordinator for Jed Fish now in Arizona. So just kind of weird how they're still holding on to this information and not releasing anything. But I'd be surprised if we still got to hear anything about Jim Harbaugh officially till after the new year. The rumors are that he's still on the West Coast with his family for all of the holidays, and they are going to take their time. I think definitely on the defensive coordinator search, they have said that they are going to search well past the new year for that. So I don't know why, Mark. Why are you waiting so long? It's almost like you're waiting and then somebody's going to come in and scoop Will Muschamp up at, a couple $1 million a year, and then you're losing out. So if you think these people are the guys for your program to turn it around, I don't know what the reason is for them to wait. You can't with so many moving parts, and I'm assuming now, we've got a week or two left in bowl week and the bowl season. And these openings are going to happen real quick. And then the NFL openings are going to happen, and everything's going to go down pretty quickly. Those positions get filled soon. And so some people are speculating, is Jim Harbaugh waiting for the NFL openings to happen to see what his options are? Who knows what's going on there? But to me, if I was Ward Manuel, the athletic director in Michigan, I'd be trying to make moves as quickly as possible, because if I think some people can come in and help me and help turn this football program around, you better get them, because somebody else will offer them more money and a better shot if you don't.
There's always going to be coaches to hire, but whether the guys you want could be contingent upon whether Jim Harbaugh waits too long, to your point. So I would think that they would want to pressure him a little bit to get him signed, and then they can hire the coaches they want. Otherwise, if Harbaugh's waiting for an NFL job, and then the domino effect, as you just laid out, is that they don't get the qualified assistants that they want. Wow. Okay. All right, Justin, we always appreciate the lowdown on all this, and I'm pretty positive that the next time we get together, we'll have more to talk about.
Absolutely. It seems like there's something coming up every week now, and it's I think Michigan fans wish that it would all come at once and be done with, but it seems like it's coming in one at a time. So we might have something to talk about for the next few weeks or a few months at this point. But excited about what's happening here. Excited to watch some more college football this week. Oh my gosh, they're going to be good games, I hope, for the college football playoff. And it seems like it's been forever since we've watched some major college football. So I'm pretty pumped for that.